Okay, everyone. This is Dennis Freeman. Thank you for joining us today. This is the "It's How You Play the Game" podcast, and we're going to welcome our guest today. Our guest is Clarence CJ Jones for CJ Custom Clothiers. Um, there is Mr. Jones.
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Man, appreciate you. I know we're having these technical difficulties this morning,
Right.
trying to get it together.
Thank you again. So we got the 2024 NFL draft. What's going on with you? And tell me if you have any clients.
Well, I always got clients now.
Right.
That always look. That's one thing I'm never worried about is clients. I didn't work on the NFL draft that hard this year, like I normally do.
Okay.
The draft is something I love to do a lot of time. And I guess this year I just kind of had my focus more like on sports commentators, sports reporters and stuff like that. So that's, been pretty much my main focus this year.
You've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, this is my 30th year doing custom clothing. My 30th year. I mean, it's something I didn't think I would be doing all my life, but I fell into the business and it kind of just, it kind of just took off from there for me. Like I said, it wasn't something I planned to do. It's just something that I fell into overall. So this year's draft, I have the young man Latu,
Okay.
number 15 from UCLA.
Right.
I'm doing him like a tannish brown window pane suit with burgundy in it, with a burgundy necktie.
Okay. Very nice.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Now everybody wants to start trying to call me. Ain't that crazy?
It happens that way, right?
Yeah, it does. Let me see if I can.
Wow, Mr. Jones. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I'm trying to see if I could turn this suit around for everybody, but I guess I can't. That's kind of what I'm making him for the draft.
Nice, really nice.
Hold on.
Oh, wow. How long did it take you to put that together?
A couple of weeks.
That's it?
Yep, a couple of weeks.
So when you put these suits together, it's something that the players or the athletes, they make their requests about how they want the suit to look inside and out?
Oh, yes. You see, I even got his name on his hanger.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
Very special.
Here's a couple of shirts here. Custom tie. Got his initials on it, AKMA. I didn't know what that stood for, but that's what he wanted on it.
Okay.
Got him the burgundy tie to kind of go with it.
Now, when you put these suits together, are you looking at personality of the prospect, or
I'm always looking at the personality of the prospect.
Okay.
Everything that what colors they want. I always want to know about the lining on the inside of the suit that they want. Everyone kind of give me some ideas of what they want to wear and how they want to look.
So, but this takes time. It's not just, hey, I just need a suit. This is a process. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, this is a process. Usually what I do, Latu's agent is Chaffee Fields. He's with the Wiseman Group.
Okay.
I've been doing Chaffee Fields for probably 15, 16 years. I've helped him get some players. He's helped me, as long as, if I'm on a player and they kind of tell me where they're at, as far as agent wise, I always, give them recommendations.
Okay.
Of who, If he says, like when I met Latu at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
So we talked, and I said I didn't tell him I knew his agent, but I told him I wanted to do some business with him, and
Okay.
gave him my card. So what he did was he gave his agent my card, and his agent started laughing. He said, "CJ, my man." So
Okay.
it really worked itself out, so to speak. I got him fitted up in Indianapolis at the combines late one night, and he picked out the fabric, and I told him to give me some pictures that he wanted on the inside of the suit, and he got his agent the pictures. His agent got them to me, and so I mean, it took me about roughly about 3 weeks to do the suit. The biggest process was maybe the lining. Uh, Took me probably about a week to do the lining. As far as the fabric, it took probably a week to get that as well because they had the fabric over in England. So, you know, kind of put it together the way he wanted, and shirt process. Even had his tie custom made. You know, so it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. He should go somewhere between I'm thinking 10 to 20 in
Okay.
this year's draft. He's
Okay.
one of the top defensive ends in this year's draft.
Yeah. Your clothes has always a unique look. When did you know, like, as far as detail, um, this is something you really wanted to do, as far as knowing how to match colors and so forth?
Now, this is what's the funny thing. My mother uh, used to match my clothes, and so that's pretty much where I picked it up from. My mother was a person who could match colors very well, and so it kind of just fell on me when I started the business.
Now, when did you know that this is something, like you say, you kind of fell into it? But I
I
guess
fell
always,
I fell into this business. I played high school basketball in Chicago. I played college basketball. I've been in the service. I played basketball halfway around the world, and I always could dress. I dressed even when I was in the Navy. Gucci sandals. The Burberry suit, the Johnson and Murphys. So I've always been a person that could dress. But when I fell into the business, it was just something I didn't know, and kind of how I fell into it. I was at Lemoyne in college, HBCU school, playing basketball, and I saw the president with his initials on his shirts, on one of his custom shirts at that
okay,
time, and I didn't know. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Oh, I get my shirts custom made." And he told me what he paid for them. I said, "Oh man," I said, "I'm wearing Armani and Hugo Boss." I'm like, man, I'm wearing. I know I'm wearing top of the line clothes. You know, and I decided to. I went to the Burberry store in St. Louis, and I bought a French cuff shirt. I
okay,
started doing a little research. I bought a French cuff shirt. It was a burgundy pinstripe shirt. I think I still have that shirt to
okay.
this day.
Wow.
And I started, wearing that shirt a lot. And the president thought I had a shirt made. I said, "No, I want to get some made." And he told me about the guy named Nico Perkins. I went and met Nico, and I said, "Man, I want to get some shirts made, man." I said, I can sew, but I don't know if I can sew on that magnitude." And so he measured me up, got me a couple of shirts. I liked them. I wouldn't even wear them. I just was driving around with them, put them in the car, looking at them all the time. And at the time I was married, my ex-wife was like, "Well, when you going to wear them?" I said, "I don't know. I ordered 4 more." And so I ended up going to Chicago. One of my best friends and one of my closest friends is Tim Hardaway.
Okay.
At that time, Tim was playing with the Golden State Warriors, and I went by his house, and it was around his birthday. His birthday is close to like the end of August, going into Labor Day week.
Right.
Is his birthday, so I went in there and showed him the shirts. I asked him to get his shirts made. He said, "Yes, I get all my shirts, get all my clothes made." And so he liked the shirt, and he was thumping on the collar. And he said, "Man, them collars kind of sturdy, because the ones he had was not as sturdy as the ones that I wear." And I said, "Well, I tell you what, man, let me call the guy on the phone and see if I can get him to get you some shirts made." I called the guy up. He told me he didn't come to Chicago.
Wow.
I said, at first he didn't believe that was Tim Hardaway. I said, one of my best friends is Tim Hardaway. He was like, "Yeah, right." So I gives him the phone, and Tim told me he wanted to get some shirts made. He told Tim he didn't come to Chicago like that. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Here's a guy. wanted to buy some shirts. I guess with me, it didn't matter how many he wanted. It should have been the fact that here's a guy who was an Olympian, who, was on the Olympic team and all
Right.
that. I mean, he's an all-star, and, here's a chance to enhance your business.
Wow. That's really wow.
Yeah, and so the guy told me to go to a Walgreens or a hardware store and get a tape measure. And he walked me through how to take the measurements over the
Wow.
phone.
Wow.
And so I got Tim, I gave him a couple of shirts as a birthday gift. And he turned around at Christmas. I met him in Atlanta, and the guy wouldn't go see him in Atlanta. So I got a swatch book, went to Atlanta, met Tim at the Ritz-Carlton near downtown Atlanta, and he bought like 20, 25 shirts. And that kind of got me started because he told me that would be a good business to go in. And so pretty much all the guys that I played high school basketball with and against, guys who I played in the pro-am with, they were all college coaches now.
Yeah.
And so one of my other close friends who I grew up with was a guy named Tracy Dildy. I was his backup at King High School. And so I got with him. He got some shirts made. He turned me on to Ray McCullen, who's in the Hall of Fame down there at Ball State.
Okay.
He introduced me to Bonzi Wells, which I was Bonzi Wells some clothes when he first went to the NBA. And then he introduced me to a guy named Tony Stubblefield, who was, I think Tony was with, I don't quite think he was at New Mexico State then, but I think he was going to New Mexico State with Reggie Theus when he first got the job out there.
Okay.
He started buying from me. Then he turned me on to another guy, and it just kind of grew.
Wow.
So I started having all these college coaches. Even to this day, I still have a lot of college coaches. And so it just kept building and building. And then I started, a guy named Will Reese got me some athletic directors. So he got me Tom Bourne, who used to be the former athletic director at Memphis. He got me Ross Beyond, who is at that time was at Ole Miss, who's at Ohio State now. He got me Bubba Cunningham, who's the AD at North Carolina. Tommy McCullen, who was at Louisiana Tech, who was at Vanderbilt at one point. I can't remember where Tommy's at now, but got me him. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I had the athletic director at Tulane. So, I mean, who's at Nebraska now. I mean, I could keep going and going.
So what is it
I
about your suit? What is it about your suit? What is it about your suits that make people really comfortable that stands out?
Well, the thing is I don't put pressure on people to buy suits from me.
Okay.
The other thing is my attention to detail. I'm very detail oriented with people. I sit down and I talk to people and explain the process to them as far as fabric selection, what looks good on them, what may not look good on them. And people like my honesty. I'm honest with people. And I don't go see people and say, look, you got to buy 5 suits and, you got to spend a lot of money with me. I mean, I've never done that. It's not about the money. I've always learned how to be a relationship person. I got up yesterday and I had a guy 2 days ago as a referral. A guy said, man, I just want to buy some shirts from you. I got up and drove 85 miles for a guy to buy 3 shirts from me.
Wow.
And the guy was like, you're going to drive 85 miles just to do 3 shirts? I said, listen, I don't want your money. I want your relationship. Because as soon as he got those 3 shirts, he told me a story of somebody else he tried to get some shirts from, and the guy never came to see him, wouldn't even return his call.
Wow.
He said, when you get those 3 shirts for me, when you come back, I want to get a couple of suits made from you. That's how you build the relationship. That's how you build a rapport. It's not always that I have to make a lot of money every time I see somebody.
Okay.
I've gotten up and when it's all one person to buy 1 suit from me. Just try me out. Check out my service. 1 suit. And when I go see somebody, they'll buy a couple of suits to get started. But I tell people, and then I hand deliver everybody's clothes for the first 2 times. I bring everybody back their clothes.
Okay.
I just picked up Stephen Gradit with Fox 9 News in Washington, D.C. He's
Okay.
on sports anchor. I just sent him a black and white window pane suit. He called and talked to me for a whole hour yesterday about that one suit I made him. And he talked about the process. He said, man, I came to Virginia, went and saw him, spent 2 hours with him to buy one suit. And he said, man, I don't know nobody else who would do anything like that. I said, well, you were referred to me by your uncle. His uncle referred me, and his uncle used to be in the custom clothing business. So that has to say a lot about what I do. If your uncle, who's an attorney, used to be in the custom clothing business, refers me to his nephew.
What's it like for you as one of the few African American designers, clothing designers? How challenging has it been for you, and how rewarding has it been?
Would you believe it's still challenging? Very, because one of the things I've learned most about being in business, and what I'm still not quite grasping, is that other African Americans who are athletes,
Mm-hmm.
they will pay Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga. They will pay all these Hermes. They would pay all these designers to wear their clothes. But when it comes to me and other African American business owners who are in the custom clothing business, they want you to give them something for free. I haven't gotten to that one yet. I'm still grasping that one. I missed out on probably 3 guys for this year's NFL draft because I wouldn't give them free clothes.
Why wouldn't you?
Why? Once again, if you can go and pay Gucci $1,000 for a pair of tennis shoes, or you can buy a Balenciaga sweater for $2,700. You can go buy a Louis Vuitton bag for $2,000. And I'm asking you for $1,500. Why wouldn't you want to pay me? Those big designers, they're going to eat regardless. This is my own business. I've never had a bank loan. I've never even asked for anybody to even invest in my business. This all came out of a job when I was making less than $12 an hour.
Wow.
Every penny that I've ever made, I put into this business out of my pocket. There have been times I was wondering if I'm going to get my bills paid. But because I pray to a higher God, He has never let me down, not one day. And the hardest challenge to what I do is that everybody wants you to give them something for free. Can you give me this? Can you give me that? I have to pay for, this is fun. I pay for fabric.
Okay.
I pay to have it made. I give them all the accessories. When I make suits for people and they say put some ties and socks with it, I do all that and I don't charge them anything extra.
Some people may say that, well, that's not fair. It's kind of harsh to say that you're, you know, coming at these individuals who want something for free.
Well, you know what? I don't fault them. I don't fault them for wanting anything for free. I fault the society has made it that way.
Okay.
But what I'm saying by society is you go into a restaurant and because you are a famous athlete, they give you a food for free if you sign a few autographs, take a few pictures.
Right.
And so what has happened is they think not everybody, but some of everybody should give them something for free. But like I just said, not one person can walk into Gucci and tell Gucci, I want one of them Gucci bags over there, and I don't want to pay for it. You're gonna pay for that.
So
And I'm not saying my clothing or anything like that is on the line of, I'm gonna say Gucci or Tom Ford or Balenciaga or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you can patronize them and pay them, what's wrong with paying me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I do good work. I
Right.
give you good service. I go over and beyond.
Is that the case
Why
with a
not
lot
give
of
me the
the
same opportunity? Same opportunity as you would pay them. Why not invest money and pay me?
so and how much has changed from in dealing with these athletes, say when you first started in the business to now, the challenge of say NIL and so forth, how much does that have altered what you do?
It hasn't altered anything at all because I
Okay.
don't do anything really with NIL. And the athletes back then, I will say this. I had guys like Gary Payton, Joe Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I did shirts for Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
Richard Hamilton when he was with Washington before he got to Detroit. I could go on. Those guys there never asked me for anything for free. I did clothes for Darrelle Revis when he was with the New York Jets, Kerry Rhodes with the Jets. I even did clothes for Patrick Peterson I did his clothes for the Home Depot Awards, and I did a few things for his after the draft. He never asked for anything for free. That's what's funny. Those guys there took pride in doing business with their own, such as guys like Steve Harvey. I made shirts for Steve Harvey, did business with D.L. Hughley, did business with Cedric Entertainer. I did business with Eric Rome. Do you know I was on the second tour of the Kings of Comedy tour? Not one of those guys asked me for not one shirt or suit for free. Walter Latham, same way. All these guys took pride in putting bit money back in a black-owned business. And that was one of the biggest things I loved about Steve Harvey. People don't give him enough credit, but I got to say this, he has never, ever said, CJ, because I've gotten you business from other people, will you give me? Steve took pride in doing business with his own, such as D.L. Hughley, Cedric Entertainer. Even Bernie Mac had a guy who I knew made suits. Bernie Mac told me, he said, if you ask my man Hodge, I'll buy shirts from you. And you know what I said? You loyal to Hodge. I got to give it to you. I would never do shirts with Bernie Mac because my friend Hodge out of Chicago made all his clothes. And those guys paid with no problem. None. Now everybody wants gimme, gimme, gimme. Now don't get me wrong. I have a lot of players who do pay me, never ask me for anything. But what I tell them all the time, if I made clothes for you and you ever went broke and you needed a suit for a job interview, you call me, I'll give you a suit for free. See, I don't have a problem with that. Allen Robinson, all pro wide receiver with Pittsburgh. I've been making his clothes ever since he came out of Penn State. He has never asked me for a free nothing. It's always, TJ, what I owe you. Here's your money up front. He don't ever call me. Most of my guys don't even call me when I'm making their clothes. They don't even call.
Wow. What's so how are you able to navigate the waters of finding these prospects, getting to know these prospects, and then having to cipher through their parents or coaches or their handlers, so to speak?
Handlers are tough. The handlers make it tougher than anybody. Parents are pretty good. I am doing some suits right now for the All-American from San Diego State, Jaden Ledee, who played the 6'9" forward. I
Yes.
am making some suits for him now for Chicago. His mother, his father is close friends with a client of mine who referred me to them.
Okay.
And the father called, we talked, and guess what? Told him what I charged, gave me a deposit, told him stuff be ready in a couple more weeks. He'll pay the balance. Not one time did they say, well, my son's going to be an NBA player. You should comp him a suit. Didn't get that. I got that. I got that from a close friend of mine who's representing an NFL player.
Okay.
You know, comp, comp him, comp him a suit, him and a family member. I was like, comp, wow.
That's a lot of,
Didn't
that's a
want
lot
the
of work for free.
right. I didn't want the bit. Well, the thing was, it's like he's going to be loyal, but this is how I look at it, and I hate to say it, but if I give you and an uncle, a brother, a cousin, a father a free suit, if you do that to me, you can do that to 5 other guys because the first thing you can say is, well, CJ gave, and a lot of people do know who I am, hopefully, and they'll say, well, CJ gave us a free suit. Why can't you? If you do that with 5 people, you got 5 free suits for you and somebody in your family. You hadn't had to pay for nothing.
Right.
But guess what? That Rolls Royce you driving in, which is a $350,000 car, you paid for that.
Right.
You didn't go to Rolls Royce and say, I'm such and such, I want that car for free. Doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I feel like my work that I do, I'm worth something.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I got to take time out to come see you, I pay my own expenses. I pay for my flight, hotel, rent a car, and food. All that's included in what I do. If I charge you $1,700 for a suit, I give you a suit, I give you a shirt, I get you a tie, get you socks, get your pocket square. I don't charge you anything extra for that. And I'm still paying my expenses out my pocket.
What you had mentioned earlier about the handlers, how the handlers have made things difficult.
Oh, well, the handlers wants to be the young man. I mean, listen, I was talking to a family member. I was talking to 2 family members, and they wanted me to make clothes for a young man. And so I was like, okay, great. I've been kind of talking with the family most of the year. Talked to one of the coaches. One of the coaches talked to a young man for me. Talked to the handler. I was like, well, he's going to probably need A, B, C, and D for Chicago and A, B, C, D for the draft. Okay, CJ, we'll get back to you. Never called back. Tried to call him, not answering my calls now. First you answer my calls, now you don't answer them. But because guess what? I wasn't talking about free clothes.
Oh.
Because you have what has happened out here, you got so many other designers who are new to the business. They are willing to give free clothes just to say I made clothes for a certain person. Just like this year's NFL draft.
Right.
There are new guys, and listen, I don't knock nobody's hustle on how they do things. That's what you want to do. That's fine with me. But you got guys who are giving away free clothes to people. Those guys will never buy clothes from them.
Wow.
You just giving it away. Just what people are doing is just giving away free clothes just so they can put them on their social media one time to say, I made such and such. I made such and such. You got one suit out of such and such.
Have you seen it? Right?
Huh?
Have you seen this?
Oh, I've seen it and read it.
Wow.
I've seen it and read it.
Wow.
So my thing is, why would I have to give somebody a free suit? 2 drafts ago, I had Jabari Smith, who was the number 3 pick. I had Jalen Dorn, who was I think Jalen was the 13th pick to Detroit.
Pistons?
Yes, Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
Both guys pay for their clothes. Families pay, agents pay for their clothes. Guess what happened? The 2 suits that I made, it was on First Take with Stephen A. Smith.
Wow.
Stephen A. Smith is ranting and raving about Jabari Smith, how his suit looked, the vest with the U-neck. You looked over at Jalen Dorn, you're looking at a burgundy suit with pink shirt, double-breasted, a nice vest. Yeah, that's all they ran and raving about. But they talked about the other 2 guys as well who looked very nice. So what I'm saying is, why would I have to give? The same draft, which was the NFL draft prior to that, I did Sauce Gardner.
Right.
I did Evan Neal.
Right.
I did Treylon Burks. I got 3 first-round picks that year. I had 3 in football. I had 2 in basketball. So why would I have to give when the work speaks for itself?
So
Last year's draft,
yeah.
I did a suit for Brandon Miller in Chicago. I did a suit for Scoot Henderson in Chicago. People are still ranting and raving about the suit I made him. They got the straps on the suit. I did shirts for the Thompson twins. You see what I'm saying? Come back for the NBA draft. I did stuff with Brandon. Scoot's sister did his stuff as a fashion designer. I did some suits for the Thompson twins for their press conference. And I made a suit for the former #1 player in the country, Imani Bates. They all paid me. No one asked for nothing. That's all I'm saying. If a guy's buying clothes from me and you run into a situation where you need a suit, I don't have a problem giving it to you.
It sounds like you should be a national brand. Everybody that you're able to dress and design clothing for, suits and so forth.
Well, I won't say I need to be a national brand. I'll just say this. God has been extremely good to me. God has put me in a lot of right corners to meet people. I've built rapport and relationships throughout. And so people I do business with don't have a problem referring anybody to me. And this is the funny thing. I barely ask any of my coaches to refer anybody. Barely ever. And I know my coaches got relationships with a lot of people. So if they refer somebody to me, that's fine. But I try not to bother people on referrals. I go out and do my own recruiting. I do my own recruiting. I build my own relationships. I know a lot of people, and a lot of people don't mind helping me because guess what? If they refer somebody to me, I don't have a problem saying, here's a suit. I've had agents refer players to me. Guess what I've done? You didn't ask me, but here's a couple of suits because your guy bought 6 suits from me.
Okay.
I didn't have to do it, but because they didn't ask, but that's just the type of business I do. If an agent refers a player to me and a player buys 4, 5, 6 suits from me, I don't have a problem giving an agent a suit. I don't have a problem giving anybody a suit if you're referring people to me and they're doing business with me.
How competitive is it to land one of these athletes that are in the draft? How competitive is it?
You know what? It's hard because you have to deal with parents are usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The problem becomes the handler.
Wow.
When you got the handler, and you know what's amazing? A lot of these handlers, how should I say it? I'll just say it this way. A lot of handlers that handle these young men are really not good for these kids. They get in and they latch on and a lot of these handlers turn these kids away from their families, their parents. A lot of these handlers uh, are guys who I would say are not great guys. And I'm not going to say all of them are bad, but I'll say 80% of the handlers out there, they all got their hands out. They're controlling what the young man does.
Well, who allows them to come into that space?
The young man, the family lets the handler come in because I'm hypothetically say, let's say a handler's a trainer and he starts training a young man and he sees, wow, this kid's got a chance to be in a pro. That's his golden goose. So what he's going to do, he's going to try to help control where he goes to college. He's going to try to control what agency gets him. And if he can control what college he goes to, a lot of times, colleges, might help out if there's a situation in need. The agent definitely is going to pay him for bringing the player because that's a player he didn't have to go get. Wow. And then they take over from there. Now, me, I come along long before everybody, but because I'm not saying here's 2 or 3 free suits to you, 2 or 3 free suits to him, 2 or 3 free suits to this person, I lose out every time. Same thing with this year's NBA draft. I probably lost 2 or 3 players, especially a couple in the top 10, because I'm not giving away anything.
And you
If I
won't.
was giving away something, I would probably have a couple of guys in the top 10 right now.
But you won't do that. You won't. You stick to your beliefs.
Stick to my guns on this one. As I learned, all money's not good money.
Okay.
I'm going to always get a couple of players every year. If I don't get a couple every year, I'm going to get a couple every other year. I have learned to try to diversify my business, more so doctors, lawyers, good business people.
Okay.
Those, sportscasters. Those are the people I'm more so going after. College head football, basketball coaches. I'm still going to the end. When the NBA, when the NCAA goes back to dressing, it's going to be great again. I'll be glad when they go back because they let them wear sweats and polos on the sideline, which is something to me that's not business. If you're going to make coaches look like, because my thing is, if I'm going into somebody's house, I want to go in. Yeah, I'm a coach, but guess what? This is how I look.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I look presentable.
Right.
You put the polo and t-shirt on when you go out to your dinner, but when you go into a parent's house, you look like somebody. Hey, I represent Kentucky, Arkansas, Memphis, North Carolina. You look like a coach. You come in, you suited up, you talk business with the family. Like, man, coach looks pretty nice when he comes to my house. But they've gotten away from that. But they'll get back to dressing. I mean, look at Kentucky this year. I was so happy when, Coach Calipari started back wearing suits because that's how you're supposed to look. His staff started wearing suits. I was happy about that, not because I got 2 clients on Kentucky, former University of Kentucky coaching staff who are at Arkansas now. It's just how I perception of how you're supposed to look in this world when you go out and meet people.
I got 2 last questions for you, Mr. Jones.
Okay.
So what would your advice be to these young designers or up-and-coming designers who are new to the business, and you've seen a lot in this industry? What kind of advice would you give these individuals?
Well, first of all, I would tell them to stick to their gun. Once you start giving away free clothes, you got to maintain it. You got to keep doing it. And not everybody that you give free clothes to are going to continue to do business with you. Just because you give them something for free doesn't mean they're going to continue to do business with you. I would definitely, build your network, and not just of athletes. Build your business, a book of business around an assortment of people, because athletes only buy once a year, big one time. They buy very little bit in the summer because it's the off season. So do not bank your whole career on an athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Build your business, your book of business around other individuals that can help your business grow. I have doctor clients who spend more money than my athletes.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I got sports commentators who spend just as much money as my athletes. I got coaches who spend just as much money as athletes. Athletes are great to have. Don't get me wrong. They're good for your portfolio. They're good for when you talk to parents. They're good when you're talking to other athletes. I make clothes for such and such person.
Right.
They'll give you an opportunity because they've seen your work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm not saying athletes are bad to have. I think they're great to have. But if you can get past the handler who's got his hand out, or the cousin who's got their hand out, or some family member who's got their hand out, your success rate with an athlete will be a lot higher probability than it would be lower.
And so how much, last question I wanted to ask is, what is a typical suit retail for CJ Custom Clothiers? And what is it that people can actually expect, type of clothing that people can expect from CJ Custom Clothiers?
Well, a typical custom made suit starts out about $1,500
Okay.
and up, depending. That's a two-piece. If you're getting a three-piece, you're talking about 1850. I'm sorry. A custom shirt typically starts about 265, but if you call me, I might bring it down to 165.
Okay.
What you're going to get from me is I'm going to treat you just like I treat my athletes. All my clients are special to me. I don't care if you spend $1 to $50,000. Everyone gets the exact same service. Everyone gets the exact same type of fabric. You know what I'm saying? I love good fabric. I'm never going to give you anything that's cheap. Some people just give you fabric just to put you in it. Me, I'm gonna sit there, even if the fabric costs a little more. And if I tell you it's 15, guess what? I don't have a problem biting a little bit of the bullet on that fabric because I want it to look nice. Because my thing is this: if you wear it and somebody likes it, guess what? You're gonna buy, and then you'll be able to refer other people to me.
Okay. Thank you so much. CJ Custom Clothier is based in Memphis, Tennessee, correct?
Correct. Well, let me give everybody my number.
Okay.
Clarence Jones, CJ Custom Clothiers. My website has been hacked so many times, you all. It's back up. It took 4 days to get my website back up. So it's cjcustomclothiers.com. My number is 901-378-8273. Feel free to call me, even if you want to call and ask questions. I don't charge anything for questions. Feel free to call me at 901-378-8273. Anything else about my business is on my website, as far as videos, Sports Illustrated, everything I've ever been in, at CJ Custom Clothiers. That's CLOTHIERS.com. Dennis, Mr. Freeman, you and your family, appreciate you all having me on for the podcast. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And if there's anyone have questions, feel free to call me. No problems at all. I'm taking all calls, all questions. No question is a dumb question.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. This is CJ. This is Clarence CJ Jones, and we appreciate him taking the time out of his day to be part of the It's How You Play the Game podcast as part of news for us online. And we definitely wish you well and love to continue to work with you and hopefully have you back on soon.
Will do. Now, don't forget, when you go to the out to the LA Chargers, who you going to see? Christian Fulton. That's right. Go see Christian and say CJ sent you. That's my man.
Okay.
Comes from a great family.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
All right.
Bye-bye.